Good morning and welcome to our webinar on voluntary benefits today. I'm going to introduce you to someone this morning. My name's Kathy Graham. I'm head of HR services with Pay Entry. I want to introduce you to Sherry Branda, and she's going to walk you through this presentation today. Whoops, and I'm getting ahead of myself here. Okay, Sherry.
All right, thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, good. Well, welcome everybody. I appreciate you taking the time to go through this brief presentation about voluntary benefits, and we'll be glad to answer any questions you have at the end, so feel free to type those into the chat box as we go along. So today we're going to talk about what are voluntary benefits. That's a word that's widely used but may not be fully understood. Why would you want to offer voluntary benefits in the workplace? We're going to talk about trends in voluntary benefits as these have kind of evolved over the last several years, especially since last year and COVID-19. And we're going to talk about what benefits are offered through Pay Entry that you all would be able to pass on to your employees. So what are voluntary benefits? These are individual benefits that are intended to meet the needs of families, your employees and their families outside of traditional group health plans. So when we're talking about voluntary benefits, we're not talking about a major medical plan, what we call the core benefit. It's typically more benefits that are voluntarily offered to the employees. They pay for them directly. So there is no direct cost to the employer. Benefits are paid to the benefit holder, these various voluntary benefits, they're paid directly to the insured, not to the doctor or the hospital. And it's important to understand that. We explain to people that regardless of what major medical coverage your employees may or may not have, they might not have anything, they might be on their spouse's coverage, they might have an individual plan. Regardless, these are benefits that they can participate in, and they're paid directly to them, not the doctor or the hospital. And the intention there is that it helps the employee with those immediate out-of-pocket expense. So the benefit maybe for a broken arm under an accident plan is paid to the employee. They can turn around and use that money. They can use it to pay the doctor back for the bill they received, or they can use it for things like their mortgage, their rent, their bills that continue to come, even if we've been injured or ill, and we have medical bills coming. They really are uniquely situated to fit the diverse needs of the population. And they're a great tool to enhance your benefit package. It's a great way to attract and retain good employees, new employees. So we know that statistically about 85% of employers are offering voluntary benefits according to a 2021 benefit focus survey. So this is a list of some of the voluntary benefits. These would include a dental plan, a vision plan, an accident medical expense, a critical illness, hospital indemnity, life insurance, legal insurance, identity theft protection, financial wellness benefits, and even pet insurance has become very popular as one of the voluntary benefits. So it's just a variety of benefits outside of what we think of as traditional, major medical insurance. These have always been a win-win situation, and I say that because employers, they find them an excellent way to recruit and retain, good employees, and employees like voluntary benefits because they get to pick and choose what's a good fit for their family. When we say voluntary, that means sometimes they're called, benefits in a cafeteria plan where you can kind of pick and choose whatever fits your family best. As I said earlier, there's no direct cost to the employer typically. Because you're not paying for these, you're not obligated to pay for these. Sometimes employers choose to have what we call like a benefit bank where you might contribute a little bit each month, but you're not required to. You're typically paid for by the employee. It's a great way to enhance your current benefit package, or if you don't have a current benefit package, it's a great way to start by offering a few options. Again, any way that we can help attract or retain top talent in this competitive job market is going to give us an advantage in the workplace. And we see that when these benefits are offered, you typically have greater employee satisfaction, higher morale. They appreciate, that you're offering these benefits to them, and they understand that they get to pick and choose what's a good fit for their family. So we know that employers are expanding their benefit offering. Voluntary benefits have been around for about 60 years, where you would have maybe an individual cancer plan or an individual life plan or a critical illness or a hospital indemnity plan. But they really are expanding the range and the customization of those benefits, especially in most recent years. They're working to improve communications around these benefits, offering more added value programs. So communication is going to be important, because we say if you make benefits available to your employees, it's really important that they understand, how do they work? How do I enroll in this? Why might I want to enroll in this? How is it going to benefit me and my family? So communication is going to be key, and employers are intending to do a better job at communicating the benefits. They're wanting to offer more added value services. And these are going to be things like an EAP program, or maybe a purchasing type program, anything to try to help save a little bit of money for the employee, or offset some of their out-of-pocket expense. We've talked about, again, that employers are wanting to add more value, and they're able to do that on an employee paid basis. So it's not a burden to the employer, it's just making these available to your employees. 75% of employers said that they wanted to, have greater customization of the benefits and maybe go for some of the non-traditional type offerings. They're appealing to employees. 70% of employers are looking into the new emerging benefits, and we're going to talk about a few of those examples. And then 64% are expanding into the range of non-medical insurance type benefits, or they intend to. And we'll talk about some of those as well. So these are the fastest growing voluntary benefits today on the market: identity theft, hospital indemnity, pet insurance, critical illness, and group legal. And these are all 5 of these are in the benefit portfolio that we're going to discuss today. So it's nice to know that, we're trying to kind of follow trend and make these available to employees. Now, when we talk about trends, COVID created a lot of change for a lot of us. There was an expert opinion article in Benefit Pro magazine. They talked about the impact of COVID-19 on employees' lives and their finances. It really shined a spotlight on the value of voluntary benefits. Employees in this survey, in this article, they're choosing voluntary benefits as sort of a go-to to help face their financial challenges, which certainly impacted a lot of folks over the last 18 months. 84% of Americans reported that the COVID-19 outbreak caused them financial stress. As a result, 50% felt that it was more important now than ever that their employers offer some kind of a financial wellness benefit. And so that would be a non-traditional type benefit, but one that definitely employees are looking for. Employers are enhancing their voluntary offering, and they're adding benefits that help improve, the behavioral healthcare benefits. Beyond just the core benefits, employees are looking for resources. They're looking for ways to help cover some of that out-of-pocket exposure that they have, even when they have medical insurance. And so that's kind of the trend that we're seeing is necessary to bring to the workplace. And employees said that they're going to be spending more time reviewing their voluntary benefits as a result of COVID-19. Because I think that people realize, as more and more people had to use hospital services, urgent care services, doctor's visits, telemedicine, employees recognize that, it's important to be able to have access to that, and it's important to be able to afford, that access. So they're really looking for employers to bring in some of these, options that will help them in that regard. So pay entry has partnered with the Association for Entrepreneurship, USA, and Legal Shield to offer a variety of these non-traditional type voluntary benefits. And so I'm going to go ahead and walk through what these benefits are and how they might be used and why it might be of interest to you and your employees. So first, the Association for Entrepreneurship, or what we call AFEUSA. So this is a 20-year-old organization that really is intended to serve entrepreneurs or those considering entrepreneurship, it says. Now, we recognize that your employees aren't necessarily thought of as entrepreneurs, but what's nice about this association is it's always been geared toward that entrepreneurial spirit. And even when employees are working a W-2 job, they might still have what they call a side gig, right? They might be an Uber driver in the evening, or they might have a delivery service or a side business or something. So, we all are entrepreneurial in spirit, I guess you could say. And so that's really all it takes to be a member of the association. So once a person becomes a member of the association, there's really two fees two options, membership levels, the 1095 or the 1995. We're going to focus on the 1095 membership. So everything starts with this package as being a member. But what that 1095 does is it purchases for the employee and their family the first three items that you see on that list. 1-800-MD, which is a telemed service. It's part of the AFE membership, and there's no added cost to use it. So it gives employees and their family access to board certified physicians for everyday type illnesses, not major things, obviously, but if you were to have the flu or a cold or a sinus infection or pink eye or something like that, where you can use telemedicine for, it's a great opportunity. Saves a lot of time and money for the employee. Helps them to miss less work if they can get this resolved by the phone, 24 hours a day. RX Valet is also part of the basic membership, and that offers a whole range of discounts for prescription drugs, either mail order or in retail setting. And then VSP Vision. This is a discount vision program that's recognized by many, many retailers throughout the US. So those three are really the core benefit package of the membership. And that's $10.95 a month for the employee and their whole family. And then once a person becomes a member of the association, it always starts with that membership, but once they become a member, they have an opportunity to enroll in insurance benefits. And so this is sort of a highlight, and I'm going to go into a little more detail, but this is going to highlight the variety of voluntary benefits they then have access to. One of them is going to be a PPO dental plan. One of them will be an accident medical expense, an AD&D, and I'll explain kind of what that means in just a moment. There's an accident and sickness hospital indemnity plan, critical illness, and then basic and voluntary term life options. So I apologize, I don't know that you can read that website there that we've listed because of the coloring, but we'll be sure to get that to you all so you can kind of explore these. So the accident medical expense, just to kind of highlight this, again, because, I've worked in the workplace for 16 years communicating voluntary benefits, and people often have the same question, that how do I pick and choose what I should enroll in, or what's the difference between an accident plan and a critical illness plan? Well, the name usually gives it away. This is accident medical expense. So it's a benefit that pays just in a whole variety of ways if a person is injured and incurs medical expenses. So it could be something as small as cutting your finger and needing some stitches, or something as serious as breaking a limb and needing to have a cast set and physical therapy, etc. So the benefit packages are designed that you can kind of pick good, better, and best. The benefits are paid to the insured in the amount of $2,500 or up to $10,000 to reimburse for covered expenses when treatment is received within a certain time frame, within 90 days of an accident. The spouse or domestic partner and children receive the same benefits as the primary insured. And then the AD&D, that's accidental death and dismemberment. That means basically if someone loses a limb or their life because of an accident, this plan pays additional death benefit in the amount of $5,000 to $75,000 if you were to lose your life because of the accident. Now, the spouse and dependents are paid 60% of the AD&D benefit versus the primary insured, who would receive 100% of that benefit. But still, it's nice to know that this is just sort of, that's the catastrophic part of this accident medical expense type plan. And the rates, I'm not going to get really into the weeds of the rates and such, because there's a variety of plans to choose from. So when we talk about this in detail, you'll be able to see the various plans and exactly how they work, how much benefit they paid, and what they cost. The hospital indemnity plan. So this is real straightforward to understand. So this means if I'm hurt, if I have an injury, or if I have an illness and I'm hospitalized, this plan is going to pay a benefit. It's going to pay either from $250 to $1,000 a day when I'm admitted to the hospital, begins on that second day of confinement, and then it pays for a certain number of days while I'm in the hospital. So a very straightforward plan, but it definitely helps because we know that when we're hospitalized, if we have insurance, that triggers our deductible, and that means a lot of out-of-pocket exposure. Or if you have an employee that doesn't have any insurance, we definitely know that triggers out-of-pocket exposure. So this is a good plan that helps kind of offset some of that expense, if you will, when a person's hospitalized for whatever reason. The next slide is critical illness, and this is an important one. This benefit covers critical illnesses. They're specifically defined as, a type of cancer, an internal cancer, a malignancy, a heart attack, or a stroke. And so it pays out a lump sum benefit upon diagnosis. So if you were to have a heart attack or a stroke, diagnosed by the doctor, this lump sum benefit would be paid. Now, certainly people often will say, well, yeah, but gosh, if I had a heart attack or cancer, it's going to cost more than $20,000. And that's correct. But what we said in one of the first slides was the money that's paid to the insured, it's to help offset whatever expense they might face. So while they may pay back some of these medical bills through a payment plan with the hospital or the provider, that lump sum benefit might go toward paying rent or just keeping the bills going while they're out sick trying to recover from this critical illness they've faced. One thing I want to point out in these benefits that's really important, especially when we talk about a critical illness type plan, is the fact that all of these benefits through AFE are guaranteed issue. And what that means is nobody's rejected. If you want the coverage, you're able to get it. You're not asked any medical questions. You don't have to give any medical history. And that's a pretty exciting thing. There is a waiting period after you enroll. If you were to be diagnosed, within the first 30 days, but short of that, anybody, regardless of their medical health, would be eligible for this type of a plan. So it's kind of a safety net for those big things that happen that end up costing an awful lot with or without insurance. The PPO dental plans, there's going to be 2 to choose from. Now, they are only offered in 38 states, not in all 50 states, but they've really pulled together an excellent dental plans. They're PPO plans, are not discount plans, they're true dental insurance. And one exciting feature about these is there's no waiting period. So people can come in and use these benefits immediately. And that's pretty rare because usually with a dental plan, there is a waiting period for anything beyond just the preventive care. So that's really something we like to point out. The same rate for all states that are approved. And then you have a maximum yearly benefit of anywhere from $1,000 to $5,000, depending on the plan again, and that would be per covered person. The plans also offer a feature which is called a carryover feature, meaning let's say I have $1,000 benefit each year. And all I did this year was just go get my teeth cleaned twice a year, and I didn't really have any major care. Well, if I have money left over, I'm going to be able to roll over some of that into the following year. And so you're able to do that a few times. So what a lot of times people will do is if they let some of their benefit roll over based on whatever the plan allows, then when they know they have something serious or something big to have done, like an implant or crowns or whatever, they have a little extra benefit kind of set aside for that day that they have larger, dental expenses. Again, this is guaranteed issue, and 80% of the dentists in the U.S. are affiliated with these type of PPO dental plans. So real excited about this for those looking for dental coverage. Now, the next provider that we've contracted with is called Legal Shield. Legal Shield is North America's leading provider of legal services and identity theft protection. They were established in 1972, so going up on 50 years of providing this. And the way they provide this service is through a network of provider law firms. So they've contracted with certain firms throughout the US and Canada, every state, depending on where you reside, and your employees reside, that's the state's provider law firm they're going to use to receive this service. There's over 35,000 companies that currently offer Legal Shield, and that's growing all the time. There's over 70,000 businesses that use their small business plan, and they're covering about 4.5 million people currently with their legal and identity theft plans. So this kind of gives you a snapshot of what the legal service plan does. Basically, it's kind of like having a law firm on retainer, right? It's for just the everyday things that we face. So as part of the membership of Legal Shield, for the family membership, there's a monthly fee. And then with that, you're able to access legal advice and consultation on an unlimited subject matters, personal matters. Your employees can have letters or phone calls made on their behalf to help them resolve an issue. Maybe they're having an issue with a contractor or a warranty company or a auto repair, or a contractor at their home. Whatever the issue, they can talk to the attorney about it, get the advice and the consultation, find out what their rights are, what's available to them through the law. Maybe the lawyer can help write a letter, make a phone call on their behalf. Contract and documents can be reviewed up to 15 pages for personal legal matters. The employee can have their will, their living will, their medical power of attorney created. That's for the employee and their spouse at no added cost. It's part of the membership. They have a schedule of hours to defend them if they're ever sued civilly. And we know that civil suits happen all the time. That's a lot of times is what's going on in small claims court, et cetera. So that's kind of a feature that's not as often used, but it's nice to kind of know that you have it in case a frivolous lawsuit comes your way. Assistance with IRS audit, you would have time with the tax attorney to help address that. Family and domestic services are offered if a person is going through a divorce, an adoption, separation, or name change. Traffic ticket assistance, and emergency access after hours for certain covered conditions. That's really important. If you're stopped, questioned, or detained, it's nice to be able to have an attorney on the phone 24/7 in the event of an emergency like that. And the law firm is required to call back within 4 business hours. So there's a lot of accountability with this service, not only in what they offer, but in how they offer it and how quickly they address the matter for the member. And the second benefit that Legal Shield offers is called ID Shield. Now, identity theft is a big problem in really worldwide. I started talking about this with groups that I work with about 12 years ago. And back then I might have asked, have you heard of identity theft? And sometimes people hadn't. Today, that would be silly for me to ask because I know that you all are aware of identity theft. So what this program does is, and I just have the one slide here, but basically what the program does is they set up monitoring and alerts. So monitoring of everything that matters to do with your financial, your credit score, your social security number, passport, but they even go beyond that to, you see here on the screen, sex offender monitoring, social media monitoring, monitoring of public records, minor monitoring. So it's really comprehensive because anymore when we talk about identity theft, it's not just about financial impact that causes. Identity theft can take place, take the form in a lot of ways. Somebody using a fake ID, and maybe they get a speeding ticket or they get a DUI, and that all of a sudden now is in the wrong person's name. Children, minors under 18 are the #1 targets of identity theft, and that's because children have a credit header, but they don't necessarily have a credit file, and And the identity thieves recognize that they can wreak havoc on that young person's, name, under their name, and no one knows about it until that person turns 18. So I do believe that most people are pretty aware of how broad identity theft can how far it reaches and the damage that it can do. So what this plan does is it monitors everything that matters, everything that the employee and their family keys in, alerts them to things that they need to be aware of, to note, was that me or was that not me? And then they have they work with licensed private investigators to go to work on the person's behalf, the covered member's behalf. And that means they go to work to help resolve this issue, which really helps an employer, because when employees are dealing with identity theft, they're not focused on the job. They can't be. They have to deal with these things and call the different bureaus and repositories and the different institutions during business hours. So this product is really robust in that it not only alerts you to what's going on that may not be you, but it also helps you restore your good name back to pre-theft status. And that's really, in my estimation, what's the most valuable part about this service, is helping you to undo that mess and get you back to where you can go on about your life and not worry about the identity. And what a lot of employers are facing right now is unemployment fraud. I've talked to many different employers, and that's something they're being hit with right and left. The employee might still be working, but yet they're getting claims for unemployment benefits for that very employee who's sitting at their desk down the hall. That's a big problem that we're seeing since COVID. So, if as an employer, you're looking to implement voluntary benefits, what are the next steps? How do you go about doing that? So we've talked about a number of voluntary benefits today. So we would, advise that you discuss the benefits that you think would be best fit for your employees. The demographics are going to be different, your location, the industry, all of that's going to come into play. And you want to formulate a plan to introduce these benefits to your staff. So first, we kind of discuss, what is a good fit? What are my employees asking for? Often they might want major medical. That might be their first go-to thought when you talk about benefits. But when we discuss some of the voluntary options, you might find that they're interested in some of these others as well. And we advise to work with a benefit advisor, just to let that person guide you on how to introduce these new options at open enrollment. And if you're a company that doesn't have open enrollment, or you're not even sure what that means, basically that's one time a year that employer groups discuss the benefits that are being offered. That can be done loosely, or that can be done strictly. But again, a benefit advisor can kind of guide you on how to roll it out, when to roll it out, and how do we do that. And so the final steps would be to make sure that you communicate these. So it's really important. I always say it's wonderful when an employer wants to offer benefits to their employees, but it's really important that you make sure they understand what these benefits are. Often we'll have somebody say, well, I'll take a survey, or I'll just kind of email it out and we'll see what happens. In my experience over the last almost 20 years, employees need to understand how these work. They really do, or they just don't see the value. So it's important to hold in person, or these days we're doing virtual meetings where we can kind of go through the plans, explain it to them, give them real life examples of how they might use that plan, and then send information home to them. We can do that through a PDF. They can share it with their spouse, who might be the decision maker in the family, or just to kind of review what's a good fit for them. Since they're going to be paying for them, it's really important for them to understand how do they work and how might they benefit their family. So this is my information, and there's that website for the AFE USA will be found there, and the Legal Shield benefit through pay entry. I encourage you all to take a look at these websites, take a snapshot of this screen, or we can email it to you. And then let us know if you have any questions, or if you would like to discuss offering voluntary benefits to your employees through either the AFE USA membership or through the Legal Shield benefits that Pay Entry now offers. So if anybody has any questions, I don't know if folks are muted, but if you have any questions, please feel free to type it into the chat or ask us. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Sherry, I don't see any questions on the screen. I will make sure that everyone gets a copy of this presentation so that they have your contact information.
Okay, great.
All right, great job. And thanks for attending today, everyone. Look forward to seeing your web faces again someday. And
Thank you.
Make sure you reach out to Sherry. This is a really good program. Payentry is endorsing it and feel that it's a good fit for those employers who can't afford to add benefits but want their employees to have it available for them. So please reach out to Sherry or me, and if you reach out to me, I'll direct you back to Sherry. But thanks for attending and have a great day.
Thank you, Kathy. Take care.